The autumn air was crisp as students filed into Lincoln Heights High School, located in a middle-class suburb of Chicago. The school building stood as a stark dividing line between two worlds, the affluent northern neighborhoods with their manicured lawns and the struggling southern district where abandoned factories told the story of economic decline. Alex Reyes, a thin 16-year-old with dark, unruly hair and worn-out clothes, walked through the school's main entrance, clutching his backpack tightly. It was his first day at Lincoln Heights after his family had been forced to move to a smaller apartment following his father's workplace injury. The hallways buzzed with activity as students greeted each other after summer break, their conversations creating a wall of noise that made Alex feel even more isolated. "Room 203, Advanced Placement Physics," Alex muttered to himself, checking his schedule. Science had always been his sanctuary, the one place where the world made perfect sense. When Alex entered the classroom, most seats were already taken. Dr. Margaret Wilson, a tall woman in her 50s with graying blonde hair and designer glasses, stood at the front of the room. She had been teaching at Lincoln Heights for 20 years and had established herself as one of the most demanding teachers in the school. Her class was the gateway to prestigious college recommendations, and she took pride in maintaining exceptionally high standards. "You must be Alexander Reyes, Doctor," Wilson said, consulting her roster. Her gaze traveled from his scuffed sneakers to his faded t-shirt. "You're transferring from West Side Community High?" Her tone carried a note of disdain that wasn't lost on the other students, who exchanged glances. West Side was known for its underfunding and poor academic performance. "Yes, Ma'am," Alex replied quietly, feeling the stares of his classmates. "Well, you're lucky to be here. AP Physics at Lincoln Heights is quite different from what you're used to. Take a seat and try to keep up." Alex found an empty desk at the back of the room. As Dr. Wilson began her welcome speech about the rigorous expectations of her class, Jessica Chen, the student sitting next to Alex, gave him a sympathetic smile. "Don't worry about her," Jessica whispered. "She's tough on everyone at first." When Dr. Wilson started discussing the year's curriculum, she paused to look directly at Alex. "We'll begin with classical mechanics. For those who might not have had adequate preparation," her eyes lingered on Alex, "this will be particularly challenging." Throughout the class, Dr. Wilson called on various students to answer questions about basic physics concepts, a pop quiz on the first day. When she finally called on Alex, the question was noticeably more difficult than those she had asked others. "Mr. Reyes, perhaps you can tell us the relationship between angular momentum and torque in a rotating system." The classroom fell silent. Several students looked down, uncomfortable with the obvious targeting. Alex hesitated, then spoke clearly. "Angular momentum is equal to the moment of inertia multiplied by angular velocity. When a torque is applied, it changes the angular momentum over time according to the equation. Torque equals the time derivative of angular momentum." Dr. Wilson's eyebrows rose slightly, but she quickly composed herself. "Correct, though I imagine you memorized that from a textbook." After class, Jessica caught up with Alex in the hallway. "That was impressive. How did you know all that?" Alex shrugged. "Physics makes sense to me, always has." "Well, you should join Science Club. We meet on Thursdays after school." Alex smiled but shook his head. "I have to pick up my little sister from school and help at home." As Alex walked home that afternoon, the route took him through neighborhoods that grew progressively shabbier. He entered a small apartment where his mother was helping his 12-year-old sister Sophia with homework while keeping an eye on dinner. "How was your first day?" his mother asked in Spanish-accented English. "Fine," Alex replied, not wanting to worry her. Through the thin walls, they could hear his father's coughing from the bedroom, a constant reminder of the dust he had inhaled during years at the factory. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Alex sat at the kitchen table with a worn physics textbook he had found at a second-hand store. By the dim light, he worked through problem after problem, losing himself in the elegant certainty of science. 3 weeks into the semester, Dr. Wilson announced the annual physics project competition, a prestigious contest whose winners received college scholarship recommendations and regional recognition. This year's theme is Sustainable Energy Solutions, she explained. You'll work in pairs to design and build a working prototype. As always, I expect Lincoln Heights to maintain its tradition of excellence. When it came time to choose partners, students quickly paired up with their friends. Alex sat alone, watching as the numbers dwindled until only he and Cameron Foster remained. Cameron, the lacrosse team captain with wealthy parents and a brand new SUV, looked displeased at the prospect. Dr. Wilson noticed the situation and sighed. "Mr. Foster, you'll work with Mr. Reyes. Try to make it work." After class, Cameron approached Alex. "Look, no offense, but I need an A in this class. My dad's on the school board, and he expects me to win this competition like my sister did." "I won't let you down," Alex said quietly. Cameron laughed. "Right, just don't mess anything up, and I'll handle the important parts." The following week, students presented their initial project proposals. When it was their turn, Cameron stepped forward with a glossy poster board. "Our project is a solar-powered water purification system," he announced confidently. Dr. Wilson nodded approvingly. "And what's your implementation strategy?" Cameron hesitated, having focused more on the presentation than the technical details. Alex stepped forward. "We're designing a modular system using photovoltaic cells to power a reverse osmosis filtration process. The key innovation will be a feedback mechanism that optimizes energy usage based on water quality sensors." Dr. Wilson looked surprised. "That's quite ambitious. Are you sure you can deliver on this concept, Mr. Reyes?" "We'll need to run some tests on the energy efficiency, but yes, I believe we can," Alex replied. After class, Cameron confronted Alex. "What was that?" "That's way more complicated than what I had in mind." "But it's doable," Alex insisted, "and it could really work, not just as a school project, but in real life, for communities that need clean water." Cameron shook his head. "Whatever. My dad can buy us the parts, but you better know what you're doing." Over the next few weeks, Alex and Cameron began working on their project. While Cameron contributed by purchasing expensive components with his father's credit card, Alex spent hours in the school workshop after his kitchen shift at a local diner. He often stayed late into the evening, carefully assembling their prototype, making adjustments, and solving problems that arose. One afternoon, Dr. Wilson walked into the workshop to find Alex alone, surrounded by circuit diagrams and detailed equations. "Mr. Reyes, where's your partner?" she asked. "Cameron had lacrosse practice," Alex explained, not looking up from the circuit board he was soldering. Dr. Wilson observed his work silently for a moment. "Did you design this circuit yourself?" "Yes, the commercial solar controllers weren't efficient enough for what we needed." She picked up his notebook, flipping through pages of calculations and sketches. Her expression changed slightly as she realized the sophistication of his work. "This is university-level engineering," she remarked, setting the notebook down. "Where did you learn this?" Alex finally looked up. "I read. A lot. The public library has some good books, and there are free online courses." Dr. Wilson seemed about to say something more, but instead just nodded and left. That evening, as Alex was locking up the workshop, he ran into Jessica, who was leaving a science club meeting. "How's the project going?" she asked. "It's coming along," Alex replied, exhaustion evident in his voice. "You know, everyone's talking about your design. Even Mr. Harrington from the engineering department is impressed." Alex smiled slightly. "It's nothing special." Jessica shook her head. "Stop that. It is special. You are special, Alex. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, especially not Dr. Wilson or guys like Cameron." For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a genuine sense of pride in his work. The day before the project deadline, disaster struck. Alex arrived at school to find Cameron waiting for him, panic on his face. "I spilled coffee on the control unit this morning," Cameron blurted out. "I was trying to look over the presentation, and it just happened." Alex rushed to the workshop where they kept their prototype. The main circuit board was indeed ruined, with coffee dried into the electronic components. "Can you fix it?" Cameron asked anxiously. Alex examined the damage. "I'll have to rebuild it from scratch. We still have the design." "By tomorrow?" "That's impossible." "Not impossible, just difficult," Alex said, already mentally cataloguing the components he would need. Throughout the day, Alex skipped his classes to work on rebuilding the control unit. By late afternoon, Dr. Wilson found him in the workshop, surrounded by electronic parts. "Mr. Reyes, you've missed 3 classes today," she said sternly. "I'm sorry, Dr. Wilson. We had an accident with our project," Alex explained, not looking up from his work. She noticed the disassembled prototype. "What happened?" "Just a spill. I can fix it." Dr. Wilson's expression hardened. "This competition isn't about last-minute heroics, Mr. Reyes. It's about careful planning and execution. Perhaps this is how things were done at your previous school, but at Lincoln Heights, we value discipline and organization." Alex finally looked up, dark circles under his eyes. "I understand that, but sometimes problems happen, and you have to solve them. The project is due tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp, no exceptions," she stated firmly before leaving. Alex worked through the night. He called his mother to explain he would be staying late at school, using the excuse of project work. In reality, he knew he couldn't go home. Every minute was precious. The school security guard, Mr. Howard, knew Alex from his late nights working and allowed him to stay, checking on him periodically and even bringing him a sandwich from his own dinner. By morning, exhausted but determined, Alex had rebuilt the control unit. It wasn't as polished as the original, but his tests showed it worked even more efficiently. Cameron arrived early, looking rested and confident in an expensive suit. "Did you fix it?" "Yes," Alex said simply, too tired for further explanation. "Great! I polished up the presentation slides. My dad helped me with the financial projections part." When the time came for their presentation, the classroom was filled not only with their classmates, but also with several teachers, school board members, and local science competition judges. Cameron's father sat in the front row, his expression expectant. Cameron began the presentation with practiced charm, describing the concept and potential impact of their solar water purification system. When it came time for the demonstration, he turned to Alex. Alex stepped forward to activate the prototype, but as he did, his trembling hands, the result of exhaustion and nerves, caused him to knock over a beaker of water they were using for the demonstration. The water splashed across the table, some of it hitting Dr. Wilson's expensive shoes. There was a collective gasp from the audience. Dr. Wilson jumped back, her face flushing with anger. "This is absolutely unacceptable," she exclaimed. "This kind of carelessness is precisely what I would expect from a student who doesn't understand the standards of this institution." Alex froze, mortified. "I'm sorry, I didn't. Perhaps if you had spent more time learning basic laboratory procedures and less time on grandiose designs beyond your capabilities, this wouldn't have happened," Dr. Wilson continued, her voice cutting through the silent room. "This is what happens when we lower our admission standards to accommodate students from underperforming schools." Some students looked down uncomfortably. Cameron's father frowned, while Jessica, sitting in the back row, appeared outraged. "The demonstration can still proceed," Alex said quietly, reaching for paper towels to clean up the spill. "I think we've seen enough, Doctor," Wilson said dismissively. "Mr. Foster, I suggest you find a more reliable partner next time." Cameron looked torn between loyalty to his partner and the desire to please his father and teacher. "We worked really hard on this, Dr. Wilson," he said, though his defense lacked conviction. "Hard work without proper preparation and discipline is meaningless," she replied. As Alex stood there, humiliation burning through him, something shifted in his expression. Without another word, he turned back to the prototype, quickly dried the remaining moisture, and switched it on. The system hummed to life. On the display screen, readings began to appear, showing the solar cells capturing energy and the water filtration process beginning. Despite the earlier accident, the prototype was working perfectly. "As I was saying," Alex said, his voice finding new strength, "our system optimizes energy usage through a feedback loop. The sensors detect contaminant levels and adjust power accordingly." Dr. Wilson looked surprised, but remained unimpressed. "A working prototype is the minimum expectation, Mr. Reyes, not an achievement." The judges, however, were leaning forward with interest. One of them, Dr. Eleanor Park from the State University Engineering Department, raised her hand. "Could you explain how your feedback system accounts for varying solar intensity throughout the day?" she asked. Alex's exhaustion seemed to fall away as he launched into a detailed explanation of the algorithms he had developed, displaying a depth of knowledge that clearly exceeded high school level. The room grew quiet as everyone, including Dr. Wilson, realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. The results of the competition were announced the following week. Despite Dr. Wilson's clear bias, the independent judges had scored the projects objectively. Alex and Cameron's solar water purification system won first place, with special commendation for technical innovation. Dr. Park approached Alex after the ceremony. "Your work on this project is remarkable, especially considering your resources and time constraints." "Thank you," Alex replied, still not entirely comfortable with praise. "I'd like to offer you a spot in our summer engineering program at the university. It's normally reserved for college freshmen, but I think you'd benefit from it, and we'd benefit from having you." Alex's eyes widened. I don't think I could afford it." "It comes with a full scholarship," Dr. Park assured him, "and a stipend." Later that day, Dr. Wilson called Alex into her classroom. Her demeanor was markedly different from before, less confident, more reflective. "Mr. Reyes, I owe you an apology," she began. "I made assumptions about you based on your background, and I was wrong to do so." Alex remained silent, unsure how to respond. "The truth is," she continued, "I grew up in circumstances similar to yours. I worked hard to escape them, to build a different life. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that distance from my past was a sign of success." She looked at him directly. "What I failed to recognize is that your circumstances don't define your capabilities. Your genius was there all along. I just refused to see it." "I'm not a genius," Alex objected. "I just work hard and love physics." Dr. Wilson smiled slightly. "That combination often leads to genius, Mr. Reyes." In the weeks that followed, several changes occurred at Lincoln Heights. Dr. Wilson, perhaps seeking redemption, established a mentorship program pairing students from different socioeconomic backgrounds. She also began advocating for more transparent and equitable selection processes for advanced classes. Cameron, who had been forced to confront his own prejudices, developed a newfound respect for Alex. While they weren't exactly friends, Cameron acknowledged Alex's contribution to their success and made efforts to treat him as an equal. Jessica convinced Alex to finally join the science club, rearranging meeting times so he could attend after his sister's school day ended. In fact, Alex often brought Sophia along, and she quickly developed her own interest in robotics. At home, things improved gradually. With the stipend from the summer program and a recommendation from Dr. Wilson, Alex secured a better-paying job at a local engineering firm, working part-time after school. The extra income helped ease his family's financial burden, allowing his mother to cut back on her double shifts. On the last day of the school year, Alex found himself again in Dr. Wilson's classroom. This time, however, he wasn't alone or feeling out of place. He was leading a study group of younger students from diverse backgrounds, explaining complex physics concepts with patience and clarity. Dr. Wilson observed from her desk, marking final exams. When the session ended and students filed out, she approached Alex. "You know, Mr. Reyes, teaching might be in your future as well as engineering." Alex smiled. "Maybe. I just want to help others see that science isn't about where you come from or what you own. It's about curiosity and perseverance. A lesson for all of us, Dr. Wilson agreed. I've written you a college recommendation letter. It's the strongest one I've ever written. As Alex left the school that afternoon, walking through the same doors he had entered so nervously months before, he carried with him not just the promise of a brighter future, but the satisfaction of having remained true to himself through adversity. His intelligence had finally been recognized, not because he had changed, but because he had persisted until others could see what had always been there. The summer sun warmed his face as he headed home, his mind already swimming with ideas for new projects and possibilities that once seemed impossible, but now lay within reach.